Well, okay. So once again, thank you so much everyone for taking out time and joining this session. I hope everybody is doing well. So today's session is about optimizing resource management for life sciences. What I will do is I will do a quick round of introduction for me, for our speakers. I will tell you about our organization I2E Consulting, and then we will hand it over to Moeed Ahmed. So, well, about me very quickly, my name is Vivek Kadam. I look after the sales at I2E Consulting. I also act as the account manager for most of our customers. And I also manage the partnerships that we have with Microsoft, AWS, Automation Anywhere, Planisware, etc. On the panel, we have with us today Mr. Moeed Ahmed. Moeed heads our Pharma digital solutions. He has a total 14 years of experience working in the IT sector, out of which 9 years he has worked for pharma industry. Moeed has a proven track record of delivering global multi-year projects. He also specializes in problem solving, delegating and empowering direct reports. He and his team designs, develop and deliver solutions to our pharma customers with 100% customer satisfaction. Next up, we have Mr. James Kurian. Well, when the data analytics in question, then James is always our go-to guy. He works as a practice lead for data analytics at I2E Consulting. He focuses on creating products and services that are robust and latest, like cutting edge for our customers. James also loves to work with new technologies and delivering innovative solutions to all our customer problems. So that was about the speakers and myself. Moving on, I will tell you a little bit about our organization, I2E Consulting. We are a software services providing company founded in the year 2008. We have offices in the US and in India. We are partners with Microsoft, AWS, Planisware, etc. Our major services are project and portfolio management services, where we prominently work in Planisware and Microsoft Project Online. However, we have experience in other tools as well. We do a lot of work when it comes to PPM analytics, cloud technology, and we also have a staff augmentation as an offering where we provide resources to our customers. As you can see, we've been working with the pharma companies for a very long time. Not only do we have experience technically, but we also have the business knowledge of how a pharma sector works. We have a lot of experience when it comes to data visualization, be it Tableau, Spotfire, Power BI, or even building custom dashboards. Reporting is equal to I2E. That is the standard we have tried to set over the years. And then talking about latest technologies, we have also tried and delivered some projects in virtual and augmented reality, blockchain, and AI, ML, etc. So that at a high level is I2E Consulting for you. Now, as you already know, today's topic is optimizing resource management and accurate decision making. I would now like to hand it over to Mr. Moeed Ahmed, and he will take it from here.
Mohit, we cannot hear you.
Moeed?
How about now? Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Are you able to hear us?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yes. Even the attendees are able to hear you, Moeed. I got
Okay,
just got a
cool.
message,
Now I
yeah.
can hear back. Perfect. Sorry for that glitch. Thanks a lot, Vivek. Thanks for those kind words and a quick introduction about us and the organization. So we are really glad, first of all, to have this opportunity to talk about this very important topic, and critical as well. Not only for pharma domain, but any domain possible, but when it comes to pharma, it becomes slightly more critical. um, why it becomes more critical is because two reasons. Pharma projects are typically more complex when compared to others, because of, like, there are multiple stakeholders involved, be it from scientists to the digital team or IT team, to the legal compliances, to the governance, to the submission teams, clinical research team. So a lot of team involved in one big project, and also the longevity. The projects are really long, around, like we all know, it's around 14 to 15 years long drug development life cycle for that project, and I mean around 7 to 8 being shortest one. So it's the projects are really long and also very complex. In those circumstances, doing the resource management in a very optimized way is very critical for the success of the project. um, Now, before we dig deeper into the topic, so what we have, so today's talk is kind of, we have divided into two parts. In the beginning, we'll just quickly talk about some of the challenges which the organizations face these days when we talk about resource optimization. And in the second part, we are going to talk about how, as an organization or a solution provider, we have overcome those challenges and provided solutions, or solutions to our customers and clients, in order to have more optimized resource management. um, to begin with, and to talk about the challenges, before we go there, let's talk about some numbers just to set the context of the talk. Let's take a look at some of the numbers. To begin with, we're talking about 54% of the organizations have no access to the real-time project KPIs. And these project KPIs include the resource management in related KPIs as well. 54% of the organization, they don't have real-time access. It's a huge number. Second one, 25% of the organizations, they do not have effective technology for collaboration. Still, in this time, when the use of technology is kind of getting more and more, even in pharmaceutical, I mean, a life sciences domain, um, lately it has been increased a lot. And especially during and post pandemic, the use of technology has increased even more. Still, at this time also, 25% of the organization, they don't have effective tools or technology for collaboration. Having said that, the rest 75% who do have, out of them, they are also not utilizing the tools and technology to its fullest. So there are big gap in using the technologies, especially in the life sciences domain we are talking about. Now, organizations end up wasting 12% of their valuable resource due to poor project management. That's a huge number too, that 12% of the valuable resources, they're not being utilized. There's one more data which I'd like to talk here, just to scare you guys a little bit more. Is 60 to 70% of the data in a life sciences organization, 60 to 70% of the data is considered as dark data. So dark data is the data which the organization possesses, but they never use it. So, I mean, just imagine the number 60 to 70. That's the average, industry average, which has been found by recent studies. They are never used. And if you're talking about optimizing resource management, use of data is must. If you don't have data which is there for you to see and then take decisions, it's not possible to optimize. And that time, if 60 to 70% of the data is being unused, it's really difficult. So these are few numbers to just think about. why and how we are lacking. Moving forward, there are some business challenges and some system challenges as well. System itself is not totally okay to deal with everything, so we'll talk about it a little bit. We'll not go very in depth, but we'll just highly take over. We found few of the business challenges which are kind of very important um, when it comes to resource management, and when we talk about the challenges when it comes to resource management. So the first one being the rapidly evolving drug development business models. Again, especially, I mean, it has been evolving. The drug development business models have been evolving, but the way it has been evolving post pandemic, it's amazing. So now the focus on squeezing the timeline of drug development life cycle, and the way the organizations and the governance is uh, kind of looking or forcing to squeeze that timeline. It's amazing now that they have seen, now that everybody has experienced that this can be done in a squeeze timeline. Now the organizations are looking and trying to use that same pattern, and that is a bit challenging. I mean, we all know, I mean, it came with its challenges already. And if you're looking to sustain that business model, it is going to have its own challenges with itself. Now the second is lack of access to entire resource pool. Yeah, I mean, especially with the big organizations, I mean, in these days also we are working with large organization, and we see that the systems which are different, and due to the different geographical locations, the access to the entire resource pool is not there. So if access is not there, it becomes really difficult to, optimizing your resource management. Again, just a follow up of that point is the third one, which is recognizing the right skill for the project at the right time. I mean, definitely first thing, you need access, and then even though if you have access, we are talking about huge number of resource pool. I mean, it becomes really difficult to go and find a particular right skill set for a project for that particular time, because we already said the timeline for a project is huge in especially in life sciences. So it is these are like big challenges when we talk about optimizing the resource management. Again, continuing on that, aligning teams availability and capacity with the project schedule. Same, I mean, similar kind of point. You need access, you need system to help you. It becomes really difficult for individuals or the managers to go and do these tasks manually and keep on doing over the time. It is really difficult, and sometimes it's too much to ask for. Now, to conclude these business challenges, we think lack of transparent and automated reporting. That is one of the key thing. Um, uh, you need system now these days. Now we are using technology. Life sciences is moving towards using more and more technology. At this time, you need automated reporting. It's high time. I mean, it's reports are there, data is there, but I mean, we can't depend on individuals to go and find that data, and go and find the right data and right kind of individuals, or right kind of skill sets, right kind of people from that huge pool. Instead, you need some automated system generated reports who help the individuals, who help the managers in doing optimized resource management. So automated reporting is the need of the hour. Now moving on to some system challenges. Now it's not only about business. I mean, system itself brings, technology itself brings some challenges with itself. First two points are kind of similar, where you're talking about different system having the data, and also the data coming from multiple sources in especially when we are talking about the projects of longer life cycle. The data will come from multiple sources, and then using the data from each of these sources, and then use it for your optimization. It becomes a bit challenging when we talk about the resource management. Now, multiple data versions. Now when we use technology or tools, it keeps on evolving, so multiple versions gets created. The older versions, they don't support the newer versions. There are a lot of things that happen. Again, the next point is cloud migration. So now most of them, or like, if they have not yet, but the tools are moving to cloud. Recently we have seen one of the major resource management tool, which we proudly partner with, Planisware, which has been extensively used in resource management in life sciences domain. They went through this migration process, and with itself they brought a lot of challenges. They were not compatible when it migrated. All the reports had to be migrated to the newer versions. There were many challenges. I mean, we supported our clients as well in those areas, be it manual migration or whatever automated migration, just to support it and make it stable. So these kind of challenges will come when we are talking about automating and using the system. um, Again, system performance, we are talking about in life sciences project. We have keep on talking about the long life cycle. um, the data is huge. Like, we were looking at one of the projects. One project had around more than 100 million rows of data. Just a project, the project plan itself had 100 million rows of data. I mean, you can just imagine how big the data sets can be. In that case, the individual system performance itself plays a very important role when you talk about optimizing the resource management. Again, real-time data exchange. um, Gone are those days when we wait for nightly job to run and batch process to run and then get the data the next day. People want data real time. I mean, nobody is waiting that long. But with this, again, the challenges come, which you don't know what are the data sources, how they're integrated, how you are going to get these data from these sources, and all that also in real time. So uh, system, I mean, real-time data needs itself bring some challenges as far as the system is concerned. So high level, uh, these kind of system challenges we can see. So having said the challenges, now what we are going to do is take a look at how, as a solution provider, um, as a specialist in this area, how we overcame these challenges, having known about this area and having known the domain, how we overcame these challenges and provided the solution, which were tailor made for the organizations and the clients, and which were really helpful for them to optimize their resource management. So to talk further and to show us some interesting demo, I'll hand it over to James, who will walk us through for the rest of the presentation. So over to you, James.
Thank you, Mohit. So before we jump into the demo, I want to talk about a common theme that we see in our solutions. And we'll take one example of a typical resource management system and how we can introduce ETL and data modeling so that it can be used for downstream reporting and automation purposes. So we have, in this example, we've got the project and the resource data coming in from the PPM system. That could be Planisware, it could be Microsoft Project, it could be some of the other systems. So we got data related to project plans and some of the other resource data in there. Then we've got your HR systems, that could be Workday or some of the other systems where you have roster information and additional information related to timesheets. And then you've got your financial systems and probably your other ERP systems as well, where you have your financial data related to resourcing and the projects. So what we do is for building this typical analytics pipeline, we take in data from these various sources. It's not just a single source. We take in data from multiple sources, which provide us different views. And then we combine them together in our ETL process based on the needs. So you might want to look at the historical data, or you might want to specifically look at forecasting. So whatever the use case be, we create the necessary staging area for that. So that's on the ETL end. And then you can also introduce AI and ML into this one. So while the process that I just described allows you to look at historical records, which also has its place, you might want to look at AI and ML for forecasting. So I'll talk about that, about those two cases, how you could use that. So for historical data or the current data that you have, there might be many challenges that you might face when taking in data from these systems. And some of these things we've seen with some of our clients. So for example, you might have a couple of hours allocated to certain projects, and then you have time reporters filling in hours against those projects. And for some reason, you start seeing inconsistency in that. There might be these kind of inconsistencies, anomalies present in the system, but then you don't know about it because you can't get the whole view of the system. You might want to have some views tailor-made for your functional line. Maybe you want to see it based on the vendor. You want to see it based on the region. So you want to have different views so that you can target where this process failure is happening. So we built these reports and dashboards for our customers, wherein they could get to see the trend, the pattern of the non-compliance, get to see the gaps in the process. It could be something related to issues in the system. Maybe there was an error in the system, and because of which the time tracking data did not get captured properly. Or it could be something related to human error. Maybe they weren't filling in hours correctly. So having a dashboard, having this visual view, and having a notification system allows you to get to these errors as soon as you can, rather than having these there in the system and you finding out at a later point in time. When you have these interactive self-service dashboards where you don't need to go to a visualizer to view the reports, you can just go to the portal, apply some filters, and get to the data that you want. You can get to these errors quicker. And then on top of that, you can get email notifications as well. So that allows you to fix some of those issues in your current and historical data. And about AI and ML for forecasting. Now, given that you have a lot of data, and then once we create the staging area for the current and the historical data, you can use AI and ML to forecast your demand. You can look at the FTE values for the employees, the time reporters. You can look at the past 12 months, or even prior to that, you can look at the various factors that would impact the demand. It could be, something related to the milestones that might get changed. It's a change in the plan, or it's based on the therapeutic area, or it could be something related to those compounds. You've looked at the performance of, or how the project goes for similar compounds with similar mechanism of actions. And then based on that, you might want to look at forecasting the demand. So you can forecast the FTEs for the next few months, for a few years also. You can keep a track. You can actually use these charts to have a actual versus predicted. That's actually important because you can then track your gap. You can look at how the system is performing, and then you can tweak the system. Maybe it's something related to the equations that you might want to change. You might want to change the scaling factor to adjust it. So there are various possibilities available when you have this analytics pipeline setup, which allows you to do all of that. So in the demo, I'm going to show you about how we've used these visualizations to track some of these errors. So I'm going to switch to the demo. And let me know once you're able to see this page.
Yeah, James, we can see.
Thank you. Thanks for that. So, this was made for one of our, this is a reference dashboard. We've had a similar problem being faced by some of our customers, some of our clients. So this, what you're seeing is a kind of real world scenario where you might want to track the compliance aspect. Compliance is very important for pharma. We all know that tracking time accurately and then making sure your demand curve is in line with your expectations, how the time is being tracked, and then you want to have a high level look at where your resources are actually putting in the time, and then look at which compounds, which studies are actually getting the attention that they need. And maybe you might want to switch around things based on what you're seeing in the dashboard. So having a dashboard like this helps you with that. So continuing with what I said in the previous slide, you got data from various systems coming in. This is data from the time tracking system, which tracks in the time reporting data. We've built a staging area for our client, and then we've used Spotfire in this case to visualize the data for them. So you can see on this home page, you get a neat high-level summary of what's going on. You've got the number of compounds, you've got the number of studies, the time reporters, and you've got a couple of limited set of filters for month in here, and just want to quickly find out which compounds and which studies are receiving the most resources. The most resources are being allocated to that. You can get a high-level view over here. You can change the month in the here so that you can now see, you can actually track it as far back as you want. So that can help you see the allocation across the years. On the right hand side, you've got the time reporters by average weekly hours wins. This is just, we've taken the time reporting hours, we've divided them into buckets. So you can see that this slice is the biggest one. This is the 40 to 45 hours, the average weekly hours bucket. That means a lot of your time reporters are reporting time in this range. And then you might want to look at some of the, the extremes, the less than 35 and then the greater than 50, and try to find out why there is, why they're spending time over there. Is it an issue with the process, or is it actually the case? So that will help you get an overview of what's going on with the hours. And then you've got the split by skill set. So you might have different people working in different roles, and you might want to know how many reporters, what's the split by skill set, basically. You might want to change it to employee type. So you might have in-house employees, you might have outsourced employees, contractors, you might have full-time, and you have part-time. So these kind of splits allow you to understand how the distribution is, how much time is being spent, what's the distribution like. On the left-hand side, you've got non-compliant skill sets. This basically means that this particular skill set has been non-compliant in the past 12 months. Non-compliant, the criteria for non-compliance is basically them not being able to meet the number of hours required to be compliant. So it's possible that this particular skill set did not meet the criteria in the past couple of months. And then you could then inform the respective lead for the particular department. That there are other pages in the dashboard which allow you to get a more detailed view of these skill sets, which I'm going to talk about. The last chart on this page is about the trend of the non-compliant time reporters by month. So you can see the trend throughout the years. You can actually reduce the time range if you're not concerned with the older years. You can slide this around. So I can actually slide this small window, and then you can see the trend, just get a narrow view of it. Now, as you can see, the last 3 months in this chart, they seem to show a rising trend, which is a concern because this is a trend for non-compliance, and this indicates that people have, there's something amiss. So you might want to drill down into that. So what I can do is I can just click on this circle, and then it actually takes me to this other page, which shows me just the non-compliant time reporters. So here I can see the distribution. I can see that there are 6 people in-house full-time, and then there are 2 of them who are outsourced full-time. And I can see more details about them. So in this particular case, for this person, the hours entered were 67, and then the hours required were 77. So that means they fall short of the hours that they are required to fill in, which makes them non-compliant. I'll go back to the home page. I'll move on to some of the other pages where you can see some more details. So you might want to see a view of the skill sets. This view is set to the last 3 months, but you can increase it or decrease it. So here you can see the average weekly hours for these skill sets, and then you can see the % compliance. You can have a target set to whatever is whatever you require for across the skill set. So any skill set not meeting this criteria will be flagged. So in this case, you can see they're all above the compliance % compliance target. So that seems to be a good thing, but still they are short of 100. So if you want to get into the details of that, you could just click on that, and then you can find out what's the % compliance and who that person is. You can have several filters. Again, you don't need to go to visualizer for that. You have all of the controls with you. So that makes your work a little easier. Move on to the other tab, which is individual summary. So a lot of those other charts showed you a high level information across the skill sets, across the different categories. But if you wanted to take a closer look, you could use the individual summary page for that. So here we've got the time reporter. You can select various time reporters from this drop down. You can look at their skill set. People might be moving across skill set, so we're just showing the latest one, and then their type. So in this case, this person is an in-house and a full-time employee. You can use some filters over here to narrow down the data. So by default, it's set to the last 3 months, but you could extend it to the range that you prefer. So here you are getting the average weekly hours by month. So this shows you month-wise average weekly hours for this person. Again, this is affected by the filter. So if you narrow down the range, this also gets narrowed down. This helps you just look at the average hours in that particular month. You can see that this average hours for this month is a little less. You could take a look at that. So here you can see for the month of March, the hours filled were 112. And now you can see this symbol for compliance. Now they required 147 hours for compliance, and they've actually filled in less than that. So that's why we've colored it in red. And then we've got the expected hours, which they were expected to complete. That would be the, for this particular country that they belong to, they might be standard hours for that particular country. And then for that particular month, taking into consideration the holidays and everything else, the number of working days that they're required to work. So that the hours for that sum up to be 168, and they've fell short of that. So in this case, we've reduced it. The calculation comes out to be a negative 33%, which means they were being underutilized in this month. Now, this is a one-off month, but you might see a scenario where you have a trend where this continues for a couple of months. And that's probably when you might want to take action, or you might want to look at this isolated case and see if there was a process change that happened, which caused this issue. In contrast, if you see the months of April and May, there was actually overutilization. So while this individual did meet the target for compliance, they clocked in more hours than they were expected to. So that could be an issue. Maybe they clocked in hours where they were not required, or maybe there's an issue with the system that's causing that. So you could look at more details related to that. I'll just click on this one, which shows me more information about it. So you can see on the right hand side, you've got the percentage of hours spent by task type. So out of these 112 hours, they've spent 50% on the indirect ones, 39% on direct projects, and then 11% on administrative tasks. That sums out to be 100%. And then you can look at the details of those. So if you have task level details, in some cases, you might want to just stop at the activity, but you might want to look at the task level details as well. So that gives you a distribution, a split of their tasks. So in this case, this person spent 56 of these 112 hours for the indirect ones. And then if you have something that, more details about it, you can look at the drill down. There might be multiple tasks that might be rolled up. So in this case, it's just a one-to-one thing, but there might be several tasks that might be rolled up into this particular entry. So you could look at that and you could take action on that. And the last page on this demo will be about, again, this is a bit more high level. This is about comparing, the last 3 months, 3 months comparison for the percentage direct. That's the number of hours, the project and the franchise hours for each of these categories of resources. So you can see the comparison. The in-house full-time reporters have contributed to 57% of the direct tasks, and then you can see there was a dip in the month of December, and then there was an increase again in the month of Jan. And then you can look at that. You can compare it with the different types of categories of time reporters. And then this section over here talks about the actual hours that were spent on each of these tasks. So you can get a look at this. If you click on it, the pie chart below gets highlighted. So you can see the percentage, the composition of these task types across all of the different tasks that were performed. And then you can look at the individuals who are involved in that particular task. So again, you have some filters, date filters, skill set filters, and then you can have additional filters as needed. And then you can export this to a PDF. Some of our clients, usually when they make reports monthly or want to share it with others, you can actually click on this export to PDF button. It'll retain the filters that you've applied on this page, and you can then download that and send it across to someone that you want to share with. So that was a demo of the Spotfire dashboard that we have. I will move back to the slide deck to talk about some of the other things that we've done. So similar to that one, we have made a couple of other dashboards and reports. We are not confined to Spotfire, so it depends on the reporting tool that you have in your organization. So if you are more interested in Power BI or more into Spotfire or Tableau, we tend to make sure that you don't have to get a new tool in. So in this case, the client had SharePoint sites and they were spending more time on the SharePoint sites. So we made sure to make these kind of reports within the SharePoint site itself. So you can see on the left-hand side, you've got the milestone tracker, which looks at the entire portfolio, all of the projects, all of the milestones that you have, the different submission timelines, milestones. Then you can filter on that. You've got various filters, filtering based on dates, codes, business units, which you can do. And then on the right-hand side, you've got a portfolio tracker, which actually looks at the projects that you have in a Gantt chart style view. So you could have the therapeutic areas, oncology, vaccines. You could have a couple of filters here, and then you could look at your entire portfolio that way in the form of a Gantt chart. You can see those milestones. If you hover particular project, you can see all of the milestones that are available. And then again, you can filter across the timeline. So you can view by month, you can view by year. So that's one of the things, one of the other dashboards that we built for one of our clients. I will move on to the next case. So this case is about automating the reporting. So the examples that we showed were about the individual going to those reports and then applying filters and then having a more natural interactive flow with the interaction with the charts. But in case you know the filters that you need to apply, you don't need to do that same thing again and again. You can actually set those into the system and have that using RPA. You can actually have those reports emailed to you. So it could be done with the dashboard that we've shown before. In this case, it was about particularly about Gantt charts. This is again a case where we've a solution that we've delivered for one of our clients. So in this case, the PPM tool has data regarding the projects, the different timelines, different categories, candidate studies, and then you've got different timelines that the project managers and planners are concerned with. So they don't need to get into the intricacies of the PPM tool. What they want is a simple filter. Just need to get the data that you want, the timelines, the projects laid out in a neat Gantt chart format. So what they could do is they could use the web app, which you can see in the second component in this diagram. They could apply some simple filters. They could see a list of the projects that they are interested in, filter down, narrow down to just what they want. And then they could use some of the predefined templates, the ones that they're using maybe for different types of views. And then once they hit the button or they set it on schedule, the RPA process kicks in, and then behind the scenes, it just goes and fetches the data. It uses different tools. You could use different types of Gantt chart generation tools like One Pager and some of the other tools available to generate those Gantt charts, and then have them pasted into a PowerPoint slide deck and then emailed to you. So you can get the data, the PowerPoint slides, and actually the Gantt chart. In this particular case, it was One Pager Gantt charts. So you can have them, you can have those charts emailed to you as well. So that allows for easier collaboration. You could just forward the email to your teammates. You can have a discussion over that. The reports are also available in a common area for people to collaborate on. So in just a few clicks, you can get the data that you want emailed to you. So that actually helped them increase the efficiency. They didn't have to apply the same filters again, didn't have to spend manual efforts in making sure the charts are generated correctly and pasted in correctly into the PowerPoint slide decks. So that's one thing, one of the solutions that we have done using RPA. We'll move on to the next slide. So this slide talks about chatbots. So you can use AI and ML in this fashion. It's not just about forecasting, but it's also about interacting with your data in a more natural manner. So one of our clients had this problem where the data set that they're dealing with is huge. It's humongous. So you could use the traditional UI methods. You could apply filters. You could apply various different kinds of filters, drop downs, search boxes to get closer to the data that you want, and then search from within those results. Or there could be a simpler method to do that. Usually the queries that come to your mind are, I just want to see the oncology projects in phase 3, or I just want to see all of the projects in a particular therapeutic area. So it's easier for you to not have that translation done. You don't have to translate into what's shown in the UI. If you have a query in your head, just type it in the chat box, and then the chatbot will return the results to you. So if you have something like, show me all of the oncology projects that are in phase 3, the bot actually looks at those keywords, the oncology and the phase 3 part, and then it gives you a list of results that you can see within the chatbot window itself. You could get the project details uh, like that. You could see the start, the end dates. That can be configured to see the information that you want. Portfolio managers would get to see a different view. Project managers might want to go a little deeper into the details. So the interactions that we have with the chatbot can be tweaked based on who's viewing it. So that's one case where we have a text-based chatbot. Additionally, this chatbot, it's not meant to take you away from the application that you're using in. So for example, if you typically work in a SharePoint site and that site has all of the required information, then you don't need to leave that site to use the chatbot. We can have it integrated into the site that you have. So if you are looking at a dashboard, then you have a query, you can quickly open the window and then paste that in, and it will give you the result that you want. We can even have deeper integration where the interactions that you have with the chatbot actually reflect in the SharePoint site, the site that it's sitting in. So you can get to the information that you want. Again, it's a more natural way of doing things. So that eliminates some of the, a cognitive obstacle that you have. So that's around the text-based chatbots. Similarly, you have voice-based chatbots as well. So we have done a couple of use cases with Alexa. So we've built some bots in Amazon Alexa. So you could have something like, hey, Alexa, give me a briefing of my project. And then Alexa gets back to you. She says, you have 10 projects in oncology, 12 in CV Med. And then you might have some more deeper interactions which are particular to your role. For example, if you are concerned with a particular project, you could say, give me a briefing about this project. What are the tasks going on? And then Alexa tells you, you have a milestone coming up in the next 30 days. And these are the open items on this one. So again, that allows you to get to information that you want quicker. You could also say, email me all of the data for Patrick from the location Groton pertaining to this project. And then Alexa will email the result to you in your inbox. So just in a few minutes, you'll get the data that you want in your inbox without having to actually navigate through a maze of UI menus, just getting to the data that you want. So this is one of the applications of AI and ML in, optimizing, streamlining the process of decision making. We have another example. I'll actually switch very quickly to the markup that we have here. So this one is a portfolio decision modeler. This isn't exactly related to resource management, although we could tailor it or tweak it to incorporate resource management specific concepts. But this is just to give you an idea of what we could achieve, either using StatsMap or using AI/ML, whichever way is the most feasible, the most suitable. So in this case, what you can see is for a particular project, you have different phases. As you can see, you got phase 1, phase 2, and the different phases over here. And then you can see these figures over here. So this is the probability of it being, moving it into one direction. It's whether it's failing or it's going to pass and move on to the next step. And what are the different scenarios? What are the different probabilities? So based on a couple of, key drivers, it could be the number of patients, it could be the number of milestones, the number of actually the dates rather. So projects with similar mechanism of action, with similar indication, similar TA, how have they performed, and are these projects on track to be able to move to the next phase, and are they actually within the budget or not? So if the tasks in the project plan aren't going as planned, the probability, we can use different drivers to update these the weights, and then the values that you can see over here, they can change. So based on various factors, the project could take on a different shape. There could be various paths that they could take, as you can see here. Again, the drivers can be tweaked to the data that you want, the data that you have already, the key drivers that you are most interested in. So different factors can affect the flow of the projects. So that again will have an impact on the cost, and it will have an impact on the resourcing as well. So if you think about it, if you know in advance, maybe the project can take over the scenario where you have there's a 40% chance of it going to phase 3, and then there's a 70% chance of it going to registration. So you might want to allocate the required number of resources, the required number of FTEs for that project. Maybe you might want to take a couple of medical writers for that. If the tool is giving you an indication that, hey, there's a 40% chance of it moving to the next phase, you might want to think of allocating the resources about on that phase, right way ahead of time. So you could, once you have the FTEs, you could then convert them to dollarized values, and then that will give you a rough idea about the cost that's going to that this project will cost you if it takes on that particular scenario, if it takes on that particular direction. So, and there are a couple of other things that, this is around the FT in the dollarized cost, but there are other factors that you could get an indication on. You could get a forecast. For example, if you look at this chart here, you can actually forecast some of the revenue aspects or some of the effort aspects. Again, you could use different techniques. You could use some of the traditional stats models. If you have any time series data, you could use ARIMA or SARIMAX or some of the other stats models. Or if you want to go the ML approach, we've got various things like LSTM that we could use to forecast these different values. Again, that depends on the goals that you want to achieve and the drivers that are most important to you. So that is one of the examples of portfolio decision making that we could assist you out with. So that's all we have for this particular webinar. Given the fact that a lot of our customers, our clients have various challenges that they face, particularly with regards to portfolio management, we have a tool that actually helps with the resource allocation. You can have in this screenshot that you can see, the users, the different users, their allocations across the entire timeline, the projects that they are actually allocated in. So again, you don't need to go to different systems. This is a single view that will give you information about their allocations, the projects across the different business units. You can filter by skill sets, you can filter by users. So you can see in this case, you've got a color coding scheme as well. You can see the allocations, the ones who are over allocated. Just in one view, you can get to the data that you want. And then you've got people who are under allocated as well. So that view gives you a fair idea of what's going on in your project. And in addition, it also has some forecasting capabilities. It can bring in forecasted data from your resource management or your project management application, which will help you in getting, again, this is about visualizing the demand and the forecast. So this tool actually helps you with that. So our next webinar will be around this tool and about the challenges that our client faced prior to using this tool and how this tool has actually helped them improve the efficiency of their processes. So with that said, we are now opening the QA session. If you have any questions, please feel free to ping them in chat.
Well, thank you so much, James, for such a lovely session. Well, we already have a couple of questions in the chat box, in the Q&A box.
Okay.
So
Yeah. Yeah, I can see one. Okay. Due to rapid evolving drug development models, are we moving towards AI ML to minimize the timeline and resource? Definitely. I mean, one of the reasons, not the only one that, but one of the major reasons why we are moving. So, I mean, just to give you an insight, I mean, the BioNTech, which was instrumental um, in creating the vaccine, which Pfizer and biotech in conjunction created. So the BioNTech, who is part of the research of mRNA sequencing, so usually clinically they used to do that one sequence study in a day or two, but using the technology they could do that 1 or 2 days effort they could do in just 1 minute. That enabled them to run through a lot of sequencing and come up with the right one. So it's, and also it's not like it was not there earlier. It's it was there, but the confidence, and somehow it kind of forced now people to use it, and now the confidence had gone more, uh, and that is the time when now organizations are more open to use AI ML models more and more in their more in additional aspects of the project, not only the clinical trials or so, but also in resource management or resource forecasting, or the portfolio decision modeler, which you saw James just showed, in deciding the portfolio decisions, whether which way we should, which path we should take. So all these things. So definitely one of the reasons, but not only limited to. One more question. Milestone tracker works on modern pages. No, so the one which James showed, that is not on modern site. However, that is possible. That can be done, but definitely not with the same look and feel. There will be some compromise on the look and feel if we go over there. James, I think next one you can take, instead of using RPA, why can't I get schedule report from the resource management dashboard?
You can, depending on the tool that you're using. So there are, I mean, the case that we were exploring, the RPA case that we talked about, was specific to one of our clients, wherein the tool that we're using didn't have any kind of automation capabilities built into it. So that's where we went into the RPA process. It also allows you to have, I mean, it gives a little more control to the user. If you look at some of the other tools that do have the built-in automation capabilities, based on the, I mean, if you look at some of, if you look at Spotfire itself, so given that in pharma environments is typically handled by the platform team, so you don't have it's not in all of the environments that you'll have complete control over it. There's very less user serviceable components, so as to say. So with this, with a custom tool, you can actually give more control to the user. You can have, you know, the templates that you want, the filters that you want, the timings that you want, and then these are all a bit more configurable, so that when you combine them with the tool that you're using in the organization, you can get a bit more value out of that, where you're not going through the built-in options. So
Yep.
it helps.
I think we are right on time. So Vivek, are we good?
yes, I think there was one more question, or did we take it? It's any resource management tool developed for Microsoft Teams.
Not for Microsoft Teams specifically till now, but yeah, maybe in future.
Okay. Well, great. Then we have taken all the questions. Everybody attending the session, if you have any further questions, please feel free to post them in the Q&A box. We will be more than happy to answer them. We have another 2 minutes left. I would also like to tell you that this is a recorded session. Everyone who has attended the session and who was not able to make it, but registered, everybody will receive a URL with the recording. of this particular session. We also do such sessions every month, sometimes twice a month. So please follow us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our newsletters so that you will be updated whenever there is a new event.
And let us know if you have any kind of additional comments to whatever we presented. If we have any additional challenge which you face in your organization, or some of the ways that you utilize in your organization to overcome the challenges which we discussed. So we'll be really happy to see that and learn from them as well. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
You can send an email on the email address mentioned, which I'm sharing on my screen. So if
Mhm.
you have any questions later on, you can just drop an email and we'll be happy to, we can schedule a call and we can go through your problems and then
Right.
try to find out solutions to your problems.
If you want us to take any topic, you can ask Vivek in this email ID, and then we would love to do that.
Right. Yeah, I think it's about time. So thank you once again. Thank you so much for your time and showing up for this session. Thank you once again, Mohit and James, for a wonderful presentation. Have a good
problem.
day, everyone. And you have a good evening.
Thank you.
James.
Bye-bye.
Thank you all.
Have a nice
Bye-bye.
day.
Bye.